Picture yourself 20 years from now, not broke, not broken, just haunted by the risks that you never took. And if you're the kind of person who double checks every decision and replays every mistake you ever made in your head over and over and over again, this isn't just another video, this is a warning for you. Look, I'm not some guru who got rich at the age of 19, 22 years old. I'm Chris. I have spent over 17 years running from discomfort, trying to over-prepare my way out of pain. And now, it's been over 600 days that I've gone without numbing myself. No substances, no distractions, just clarity, action, and real ownership. And you know what's really gonna piss you off? Caution doesn't keep you safe. In fact, I'm going to be showing you how it can wreck your future one avoided decision at a time. See, caution is passed down to us through our parents, through teachers, through our environment as the safe route. You don't want to go too far outside the lines. You need to go to school. You need to get that education. You need to have a solid savings account. You got to go to any lengths possible to make sure that you're safe. But nobody ever bothers to warn us about what if we take that too far? How many opportunities are we missing? What kind of jail are we putting ourselves in, where the bars are every decision and opportunity that we didn't take? Nobody talks about this shit. And that is how we end up in this vicious circle of, I'll do it when I'm ready. I want to make sure that before I go do this thing or go say this thing to somebody, it's not going to screw anything up. And when you set your mindset to always have that blocker, we wait and we wait and we wait until that opportunity completely disappears and our future continues to shrink right in front of us. But here is the really scary part. Most of us are never going to realize that we're stuck because caution and fear look the same. So how can we tell the difference? I'm not going to lie, it's pretty hard to tell because both of them, you think that you're being careful. But fear, you're just actually scared. But after a solid 7 years of completely bullshitting myself to try to start this channel, here's what I found. Caution is when you take actual action in the face of risk. But fear is inaction disguised as preparation. God, dude, I would make endless pros and cons lists. I would go to so many people to ask for their advice and their direction. I would hear the same shit over and over again. Just do it, just try. But I would disguise my inaction and my fear as, oh, I don't want to waste money, or I don't want to waste my time, when I was just freaking terrified that I was going to end up being wrong and I was going to be a failure. So our fear is disguised as logic. Logic that makes us think we're making the right decision to keep prolonging and keep sitting on our asses and keep letting time pass by. And we gotta be careful because fear doesn't just slow us down. It feeds something worse, that myth of the perfect moment, which brings us here. The more cautious you think that you're being, the more information that you need to feel safe to make a decision. That overthinking trap, that paralysis by analysis that we're all so familiar with. Take this from somebody who wasted more than half a decade. More information doesn't equal better choices. All it is freaking ammo for the anxiety that is riddled in your brain. That paralysis that you can't get past. It builds a bigger wall to that decision that you're supposed to be making. But us overthinkers live in that delusion that the perfect moment is gonna come. That if we get enough information, that if we get enough verification and backup from other people, that fear won't be there when we take that action. But that moment doesn't exist, and that's the vicious circle. The only way you get past that fear, the only way you're gonna know for sure is to take action. Like, fuck! It took me 7 years to realize that. Don't do the same thing as me. Look, I get it. You might think that you're being responsible. You might trick yourself into thinking you're doing this for the good of yourself and the good of the people around you. But I want to tell you a short story about somebody that I know very personal to me, that I love to the bottom of my heart, that I've seen make this mistake and that they've told me about the mistake. And it's almost like they still can't see why it happened. People think that caution is going to prevent the pain, but all it does is create that slow burn regret. I got a friend, we're gonna call him Sammy. Sammy has made a lot of smart choices in his life. He's a competent businessman, he's saved his money, he's invested in small real estates, and he has a comfortable amount to last him for the rest of his life. But you know what Sammy talks about the most? The decisions that he didn't make. Sammy came to this country very early in his life, and he had so many opportunities to invest in real estate early. But that analysis paralysis bullshit kept him from making those choices. When property was super cheap around here in Houston, like $2, $3, $4, $5,000 for big homes and big plots of lands, he would overthink whether it would be worth it. And now, even though he has a lot more than most people that I know, all he can think about is, man, I should have made those decisions. Man, I should have got that land. Man, I should have started those businesses. And believe me, he's not ungrateful for what he has, but he knows that it was just fear disguised as caution. So take that story and look at your life. Where is fear being disguised as caution? Where can you start taking some action where you've been postponing and bullshitting for long periods of time? So that way you don't have to wait 20, 30, 40 years down the line, look back and say, damn, I had that sitting right in front of me. It was right there. And I didn't do shit about it because I was being cautious. Look, like I said, caution didn't ruin his life. Caution just makes sure we never really get to live life. And now he, and I'm sure a lot of us, are haunted by our decisions. Not the decisions that we make, but the ones that we never make. So how are we gonna avoid making those same mistakes? Listen, I'm not saying let's throw caution to the wind, blow money where we don't have it, invest in things that we have no knowledge about. It's by taking the time to know what we should be building. And this next part I'm about to share with you, most people never get the chance to figure out because they never give themselves a chance to figure it out. So we know now that being cautious can look like you're being smart, can look like you're making a decision, but you're really just sitting there. The real superpower here is about moving, taking that step, taking that chance, and not being paralyzed in fear. These people that we see all over YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, they're not winning because they make the best decisions. They're winning because they're making decisions and they're acting on them. But if you take time to look at what they're doing, they're not doing it mindlessly. They're acting, looking at what they did, what worked, what didn't work, and then acting again, moving in this direction, pivoting. These bold people that we're seeing all over the place, they don't avoid fear. They grab it by the hand and they dance with it. What the fuck? And they start building a track record, a history, a data set, whatever the fuck you want to call it, of how that motion is leading them to their goals. That actually starts building up the confidence. That actually starts showing them that they're moving in the right direction, not just piling thousands of books in their head, hoping that this is going to be what leads them to victory. Now here's the scary, almost insidious part that I learned about being too cautious. The safer that you try to be, the more vulnerable you actually become. Allow me to explain. So in my experience, what do most of us try to be cautious with? Our money. We try to build that little nest egg. Make sure we have just enough, just in case an emergency pops up, something happens, maybe it's to enjoy ourselves with. But what happens? We get in a car accident, medical emergency, unexpected loans. Shit, I've seen some people get sued out of nowhere. You never know. But if we're being cautious our whole life, not taking any risks, trying to invest in something, investing in ourselves, jumping into a business venture to really build a real safety net, we're actually so vulnerable because the second that that emergency payment comes up and it takes $5,000, $10,000 out of our bank account, we're fucked. So when we avoid taking risks and we stay comfortable, when we stay safe, we don't build any margin between us and actual risk. We got no skill set, no capital, and worst of all, no confidence. Playing it safe is not safe because while we are avoiding discomfort, we are forgetting that we should be building a foundation. A foundation for us, a foundation for our family, and a foundation for the future. And to top it off, being cautious doesn't just ruin you financially. It doesn't just ruin your future foundation, it ruins all of your relationships too. I have found that some of the best and deepest connections I have with my friends is because we have had some of the hardest conversations. Your friends and your family are gonna do some shit you're not gonna agree with. So are you just gonna sit there and avoid the hard conversations and allow them to do what they're doing? Or are you gonna sit them down, not scold them, not threaten, but just let them know, hey, what you're doing, I don't agree with. And if you keep doing stuff like this, I can't be associated with you. I've done that shit. And those friends trust me more than any of the friends or family that they have because they know I'm willing to put it on the line for integrity. And that goes for my family too. Same kinds of conversations. And a lot of you guys and gals out there who are afraid to have that conversation with a person you might like, somebody you want to get to know better. Oh, well, what if I say this and they don't like it? Well, what if I say this and they're going to stop texting me back? Oh, what if I make it weird? Well, guess what? You're definitely not going to have shit with them if you never say something. And you're always going to be wondering, what if? I am guilty of this. Don't make the same mistake. It's one of the deepest and saddest regrets I've ever had. Because not only do you miss that opportunity, you lose all trust with yourself. So these real connections that we're trying to build in love, in friendship, and even in business, they're built on exposure, putting yourself out there, being your real self. You can't be seen if you never show up. I hope you guys can see I'm not just speaking from theory. I was cautious. I lived it. I missed so many opportunities. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I still have those same thoughts. In fact, a lot of the times. But now I move, and I'm trying to teach others how to move. So the next time you're telling yourself, oh, I'm just being careful, ask yourself this. What is it costing me to stay safe? And what would my life look like if I finally just moved? If you feel like you've tried to take action before in the past, but that fear is just too much and too overwhelming for you, watch this video here. It's going to show you a secret step that I took to be able to take that action and to be able to trust that it was going to be all right. Thank you guys.